As communities rebuilt after the war, football returned with renewed energy. Local teams in places like Saltney became fertile ground for future stars.
Oh yes, I can remember football. Football,
Yeah.
of course, was one of my highlights. Yes,
You were a you said you were a secretary.
I was secretary of Saltney 1947-48
right,
when
yeah.
we reformed after the war. But going before that, yes, in the 1920s, Crichton's Athletic had a team in the Cheshire County League, which was quite a fair league. I mean, Chester were in that league at that particular time. And Crichton's had a half back line at one period, who all went into league football.
Really?
Regan, Pride and Benyon, and two of them became internationals. So they
Good
are
standard
quite
of
a good
football.
standard of football.
Right.
At that same time, there was another team in Saltney called Saltney United, and they played in the Liverpool combination, which was another fairly reasonable type of football. So we were well served as regards football.
Local football in the 1930s was a world away from today's game. Players balanced jobs with matches, and sometimes even found themselves up against legends like Stanley Matthews.
From the zoo now and move on to your husband, who we've said before was a footballer with Chester. When exactly was this?
Chester became 1934. We came to Chester, and he played up till the beginning of the. Well, he played slightly after the war. Played to the 40, and then the war came. And of course, it was only on the basis of 30 shillings a match in those days. And as we had two children, so of course that was we couldn't possibly manage on that. And of course they played different teams in those days, you know, during the war. They had to play. You see, a lot of the footballers went into the army or Air Force, so they were stationed different. My husband played against Stanley Matthews here, not here. That's where I can't remember where he was exactly where he was stationed. My husband wasn't taken to the army, I don't know, so he was graded 4, so they didn't bother taking him. But because everybody said, what's it like playing against him? He said, well, once you got him, he got two feet, not 2 left feet. He could use both feet, and he's very clever. My husband said, in giving the dummy. He said, once you got him, and he said, the point was this, which he was taught by Warney Creswell at Everton. When he was young, he was the older man. He was a fullback. He said, don't you go for the ball, wait for the ball to come to you. And it's quite true. And he said, that's how you got started. Once he gave you the dummy, which he did, what they call the dummy, you know, going that way and that way. He said he didn't bother going his way and that way with him. You waited, and then you could get the ball.
So your husband was a defender then?
Oh yes, fullback.
All the time?
Yes, always.
Behind the scenes, footballers faced short contracts, low pay, and constant uncertainty. Moving clubs often meant moving families too, all for the love of the game.
Why incidentally did he come to Chester? Was there any particular reason?
Oh, the reason. Well, he'd been at Everton for 7 years, and then he went to Preston. He was there too. He had a cottage there, and things weren't too. He wasn't very happy there. And then he was put under the transfer list. You see. Well, then most clubs in those days, having the money they got. Well, none of them got so much money now, have they? They didn't buy a player, and there was a transfer fee put on a player until towards the beginning of the next season. Because once they signed on, they had to pay them. So consequently, as regards to football in those days, it was nothing like it is today. You only had a 12-month contract, and you didn't know whether you were going to be transferred, or if you weren't transferred, nobody offered the price for you. You had to wait until the club approached you.
So was Chester the club that approached him then, or what?
Chester, yes. Bournemouth, Reading, Stoke, Carlisle, and as I was a Liverpudlian, and my mother and family were still alive, I chose Chester because it was nearest to going home at time.
When Chester met Manchester United in 1965, the whole city was watching. One disputed goal from George Best still sparks debate. Was he really offside?
And we got a plum draw against Manchester United at Old Trafford in the third round of the Cup. At that time they were in the process of building a new stand, so their gate was limited, but I think even so I think the gate was around 45,000. And of course Chester was alive that day with the thought, in fact I would say alive, I would say it was dead because I think everybody had gone to Manchester. But it was buzzing that week before with the fact we were going to Manchester United. And we actually went a goal in front just before half time, scored by a player called Jimmy Humes. And we then, unfortunately, in the second half, Manchester United equalised with a goal scored by somebody called George Best, who to this day and to anybody who was at that match will insist was about 20 yards offside when he scored. But they eventually won 2-1, and that was the end of our cup run.
They think it's all over. It is now!